You are now listening to the Pancakes and Powerslams show by Crave Wrestling on Blog Talk Radio. Be sure to follow Crave Wrestling on Twitter at Crave Wrestling and join the Facebook fan page Crave Wrestling.
355, ladies and gentlemen. We are live in living color, getting funky like a monkey, if you will. I think I'm going to make swinging the microphone something fun from now on. It looks like my cam is acting up here. Let me fix that real quick. Let me fix it really quick. There we go. Live in living color, getting funky like a monkey, if you will. I am Chris Featherstone. This is episode 355. We are live. Pancakes and Powerslam show. Looks like there was a few technical difficulties, but you know what, baby? We are here. We are live. We are living color. 355 episodes. Some interesting stuff that developed this weekend with the Pancakes and Powerslam show. We'll talk about that. I tweeted a few things too. I texted this person who's live on the show tonight. I texted him the really fun information about how popular the Pancakes and Powerslam show has become. So as people here load on the chat room, we're going to bring them on. And you know, I haven't counted how many times he's been on the show. Actually, I think he may have broke the record or close to it. I know that Marty Elias is up there. I know that Ken Anderson is up there. JTG probably has the record, maybe like 6 or 7 times. I think this person's at 6, maybe 7, 6 or 7. Clearly one of my favorite guests because he's in the top 3, of course. He's definitely in the top 3. I think it's either 6 or 7, and he's been on the show now. So obviously he's one of my favorite guests. So now he's going to do a live Q&A. I don't know. I think this might have been his first live Q&A. He's been on the show as a tag team before and with a former business partner, one of his closest friends, Ken Anderson, and he's been on the show separately as well. And I don't think it's ever been a live Q&A with this person. So let's do it. Without further ado, he is Shawn Daivari. How are you tonight, sir?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Man, it's great to have you on the show yet again and yet again.
Yeah, you know, actually, I was kind of listening to you as you were saying how many times you've been here. Like, I don't know how many times you've been on either, but this will be the first time I'm doing a Q&A type gimmick, and I'm actually kind of excited to do it. That's why you said Ken was the other one. I think like 5 of them me and Ken have done together, out of the 7.
Yeah. You and Ken has done a few of them together. Yeah, I remember I had y'all both on a bunch of times.
Those are a lot of fun. When we do these solo interview things, I don't like doing them too much just because it's kind of a lot of the same stuff, and I feel like this Q&A would be fun. You know, it's just something different. But also, like when I got to do it with you guys and Ken, that was like a world of fun because they never let you do it with like your buddy. You know, it's always just you by yourself. But when you have another person, that made it so much more fun. Or even now that like in this format, I'm really excited because it's not going to be the same. You know, through Q&A you kind of get from everybody who just wants to run down of your career. Well, like,
right.
You know, now that the world's online, like you can listen to like my last 10 interviews in a row if you want before you listen to this one, and they're all going to be the same way. But these are fun.
Yeah, 100% correct, man. It's just, and it's funny because we've talked a bunch off air, and you know, we were talking about just the formatting and how you said the same thing with me off air because when we talked about you coming back on the show. And we were like, okay, so let's just do something different. Like you've been on dozens and dozens and dozens of interviews. You've done this spiel so much. Like you can interview. You can have an interview on a podcast on your sleep with the same questions. Hey, so how'd you break into the business, and who trained you, and
sure.
all the normal stuff that you've regurgitated over and over again. But a Q&A it really does, and I've had a bunch of these Q&As, and I really enjoy the Q&As almost more than any other interview, because it really dives into the ability for the fans to interact, because it's different from me as the interviewer, as the journalist, to ask you questions, because it's a lot of interviews have that cookie cutter feel, but the Q&A format is a lot more spontaneous than a regular cookie cutter type interview that I'm sure that you and many other wrestlers have gotten quite bored of.
Sure. I mean, it's just always just sort of a rundown of your career, and your career, my career doesn't change that much. It changes over the span of 4 or 5 years, but like year to year, it doesn't change that much. You're just kind of giving them the same recap.
Right. So within the past year, I've been at this indie show. I've been at this indie show. I got this call from here. I was at All In.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
2018 was the first year, and I have some new stuff to talk about finally.
That's true. And then I think the next week or the week after you came on the show, that talked about All In. So it was quite. I think it was actually.
That's right.
Yeah, it was the Tuesday after All In you came on the show and talked about it. So.
Well, I remember you texted me and asked why did I go out with Nick, right? That was you. You said, why did you go out with Nick Aldis? And I gave you a story, and they said, oh, cool, do you want to tell that on my show? I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you're all right. There you go. Yep. So, and it was very interesting stuff too. So, all right. So we got some questions rolling in already, man. So it's going to be lots of fun. I'm ready.
That's kind of amazing, right? Isn't that kind of funny that the last time that we talked about it was after the All In show, and now, like, the next time I'm on your show, it just happens to coincidentally be around the time that All In has mutated into something completely different. That's a good. It's weird. What a very serendipitous thing, right?
Yeah, that is very serendipitous. I absolutely agree with that, 100%. All right, so let's go into the questions here. We got GHP's asking. Besides growing, the hashtag is Ask Shawn. So Ask Shawn. Actually, you know what? How about, what do you want? What do you want, Shawn? You want hashtag Ask Shawn or Ask Daivari? Which one do you want?
Whatever you want. Ask, like ASK or AXE? Like fire me? Like fire Daivari?
Oh, ASK. ASK.
Like ask. Yeah, Ask Daivari sounds better.
Okay.
Ask Daivari sounds like releasing from his contract.
Right. Yeah. Hashtag Axe Daivari. So what are we going to say to fire Daivari?
Get this guy out of here.
Get him out of here.
Yeah, much better.
Hashtag Ask Daivari. We'll do that one there. Someone's calling you the real Maharaja. That's hilarious. All right, so the first question here is, besides growing up as a Bret Hart fan, who did you grasp to when you first entered the wrestling business? I say that not because everyone gets along. Cold World Man. Good question.
What was the last bit he said?
I say that because
after I got in, he said, what was the last?
Cold World Man. Cold World Man is what he said. Cold World.
Cold. No, once I got started, once I actually got into the wrestling business, because I started really young too, I was 16 years old. So once I got in, I was there was no such thing as bad wrestling to me. I just took it all in. When I was a fan, there was some stuff I liked and some stuff I didn't like, but once I started wrestling, I just loved all of it. I loved tag wrestling, the girls, the guys, high flying heavyweights, blood and guts and violence and glass and barbed wire and also technical stuff from Europe. Once I got into business, and I still am that way. I just am enamored by all aspects of it, and I'm really enamored by seeing what people do in the ring and how the audience reacts to it. That's the part that fascinates me. That's why I can like so much different stuff, and it really doesn't matter what's happening in the ring. I'm really fascinated by what happens in the ring, and then after it happens, I like to watch the audience and see how they react. Yeah, and that really is more fascinating to me than the actual production they're putting on in the ring.
Yeah. You know what? You know what's something we haven't done. So I think I might want to integrate this with the Q&A. We never did a name. I've never done a name association with you. As many times as you've been on the show, I've never done a name association with you. So as people,
I don't have a good memory. We might have done one every single time. I don't remember.
No, we've never had one. It's funny. And I don't even remember the first year. I think probably this show celebrates 7 years in April, and I think you started coming. I think the first time you came on was 2015 or 16, maybe. So yeah, that's when I was writing for Sports Illustrated.
Dang, that was like 4 years ago already.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think 2015 when I was writing for Sports Illustrated, and you came. That was the first interview.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot. That's how we kind of got. Yeah.
That's how we got cool.
I forgot that was our initial connection.
Yep. That's how we got cool. In the very beginning was the SI piece, and that was the first interview I had with you. And I think that was late 15. I think it was late 15. Yeah. So it's been a while. It's crazy. Actually, I want to look that up and see what year that was. I think it was late 15, if I'm not mistaken, the first time I interviewed you on the show. So, someone said that you could have easily been in the hardcore division because you're tough as nails. Any hardcore division stories?
No, I'm wondering what they're referencing. I mean, I appreciate the comments and I kind of agree with them, but I wonder what in my career they saw that made them jump to that conclusion. Because usually I'm a cowardly heel, and I wonder why they got there. But no, I love wrestling for the ICP, man. Anytime I do those Juggalo Championship wrestling shows, they are so much fun. All their matches, there's no DQs in their matches, and anything goes.
Yeah. And
a lot of times I've got to wrestle with like. Too Tough Tony, who was like their heavyweight champion at the time. I have a really good series of matches with him, and those involve, tables and fire and all that stuff. And especially Necro Butcher, I got to wrestle with Necro Butcher quite a bit, and he was a lot of fun. I like it so much because it's not something that I get booked in often, so they're super rare for me. Like there are some hardcore guys, so that's kind of their gimmick, and they do them all the time. They're just a run-of-the-mill thing that they do, or they don't do them. But it's nothing that was ever my shtick, so I rarely get them. So when I've had them pop up, here and there, it's only a couple times a year that maybe I get to do it. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a new challenge for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so I wrote the article. The article was published on November 18th, 2015. So that's the
November. So right at the beginning of 2016.
Yeah, so November 18th, 2015 was when I published the article, so I think you were on the show a week or two beforehand. So that's the first time you were on the show, November of 2015. So,
cool.
It's been a while, man. Joe said, loved you as a manager back in the day. Mark Henry, Great Khali, Kurt Angle, Muhammad Hassan, enjoy them all. Wanted to get your take on if WWE could use more managers to help enhance talent in these scripted times.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think any time, past or present, or going into the future, as long as the manager is effective in the act, it's good. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. But there's a lot of times, where the manager is just a part of the act, but it really doesn't bring anything to the table. I was kind of lucky, with the exception of Kurt Angle's being his manager. I was always kind of lucky where I got to be showcased with a guy for a specific reason. And even with Kurt's, I had a purpose. My purpose was the people were cheering him, and he was the bad guy. So they needed me to stay with him so he could, hold to the heat against Cena. So I really had a purpose in that sense. But what I meant to say was his act, he was so over and popular and set on his own that I was kind of like a hat in a hat at that point. Like he didn't need me. But with the other guys, like to get Mark Henry a lot of steam to step up the card, and for Khali who couldn't talk, and then Muhammad coming in, he kind of needed me to speak a foreign language and legitimize the package that we were. Like, I was lucky I got to use well. So I think any opportunity, like that Leo Rush and Bobby, I think they're a perfect package together. The way, what Leo brings to the table and what Bobby brings to the table together, it's like a plus, the sum of their parts are greater than what they're doing separately, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a huge Bobby Lashley fan. I was very happy with what happened on Raw. I liked it. I've said on the show before. I like the pairing. I liked the pairing at the beginning, and then as the weeks progressed, they just poorly booked them, and it seemed like Leo Rush was having kind of shining. And then they kind of, what they did on Raw with him winning the Intercontinental Championship, finally they allowed Lashley to get some type of shine because it seemed like Leo Rush was kind of overpowering him character-wise. But I think it helps Lashley, but we'll see. All right, so let's do some name association before I ask a few of these questions. I'm really interested about this. Actually, I'm pretty excited because we've never done this on the show with you. I've done it with a bunch of other people, but never done with you. All right, so let's and I'm looking. A PG version of just backstage story, if you can, or how this person is, and
sure.
just the raw and uncut Daivari version. Let's anybody else, any in the chat room, if you have a wrestling name for a name association, drop it as well while we ask the question. So let's start with. I want to say somebody kind of different because usually gets the John Cena's and the Triple H's and stuff like that. How about Mark Henry?
Mark is such a cool dude, and this is going back to even before we worked together. When I was coming into WWE like 2002 and 3, doing like dark matches and tryouts and stuff, and he was already an established guy in the roster there. He was so cool. He would be nice, come up to extras, and he would remember you. He wouldn't. I don't think he remember my name or anything, but he was like, "Hey man, good to see you again. How's it going? Have you talked to JR, Johnny Ace, anybody about maybe seeing if you could get to Ohio Valley Wrestling?" Or it's like really cool like that. I always remembered that was something that even before I got to WWE, it was so noticeable to me what an awesome guy he was, and I think the stories that people have said about him since go on, and every single one of them is true. He's just a gentle giant, a sweetheart.
Nice. Speaking of giants, what about the Big Show?
Big Show's a cool guy too. He was someone that I really didn't work with him very much. For most of the time that I was in WWE, we were on different shows, and even when we were on the same show, our programs never crossed paths. I think we might have had a couple of tag matches on house shows or something, but another cool guy who's just really a really good, solid dude. I think by the time that I was there, he was pretty much a different version of himself. He says that when he was younger, he was much more arrogant and brash, and sometimes an asshole to be around and stuff. But from my experience with him, when I signed with the company in 2004 on, he's always been just a super, chill locker room leader, like really nice, responsible guy.
Oh, nice. Arya, your brother.
He's my favorite wrestler. He's like my favorite part of my WWE career is him. There's nothing I've done that I even care about or even like really enjoy, but watching him on 205 Live is like my favorite thing about WWE is being able to watch him on there.
Nice.
Pretty much, his whole career up to now, I haven't been able to see a lot of it. Mm-hmm. It's just been on indie shows, and over the last 10 years, just recently every indie show can be filmed and put on the internet, but that used to not really be an opportunity. So now it's like, even though my brother's already been up and running for 13 years now, it's like for the first time I'm ever get to see him have matches. I get the proud soccer mom gimmick now. Like I get why they're so excited to watch their kids play.
I remember I think it was something either you tweeted, because I know you don't have a Facebook account anymore. Either posted on Facebook when you had a Facebook account, or you tweeted something just really putting your brother over as far as just how, just it was the greatest moment of your career to see that, just, see your brother get, signed and WWE contract. So that's really cool. I appreciate just and of course, it makes him feel great because, he has his brother to support him, during this journey to finally, get that WWE, opportunity, which just about, I'd imagine every wrestler desires, at least to say, it's funny because I remember Kevin Owens before he signed. I saw an interview with him when he was still Kevin Steen. and he made a really, really good point. He said that he would rather get signed with WWE to say that he would rather get signed with WWE to say that he experienced it and hated it than for him to not get signed at all and never have that experience.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So I appreciate
I just watched that Nigel McGuinness documentary that played on the network, and like it made really my heart. I heard my heart bleed for Nigel because I was there at TNA right when he showed up. I remember it was on the internet that he signed with WWE, and then like the next TV tapings, he was there catering, eating with us, and I was friendly with him from Ring of Honor and stuff, and I was like, "What's going on? What's happening here?" And he goes, "Yeah, they didn't work out. They didn't sign me. I'm here now." And that was the extent that he put it over to me. But then when I was watching this, I was going, "Oh crap!" Like I had no idea how much that was eating him up inside. I really was so ignorant, and he never sold it or nothing, or never explained it to me or anything. I just thought, "Oh, it's a WWE thing that worked out, and he's in TNA now." Mm-hmm. And then like watching that documentary, I was like, "Oh, that poor guy. He was crushed."
Yeah, I saw it too, and I, I agree. Just my heart just went out for him as well. Just to have it yanked, and to be truthful about what was going on with him. Just to have the doctor still not clear him after he had clearance from his, his particular, doctor, and it was just really sad. I mean, it's awesome that he's commentating now, but at the same time, I'd imagine, because I remember he was talking to Mauro Ranallo, I'm sure he still has that itch.
Here's the thing that you can't ever understand when people have situations like that as the path that you take to, where he is right now, he seems extremely happy. And I've seen him every time, I've been to an arena when WWE's been in town or whatever, and, we both chit-chat or whatever. And he's so happy now. And, let's not, excuse from the realm of possibilities that he was a part of the first season of NXT and he choked out, Justin Roberts and was fired and never brought back. It's very possible that the story wouldn't have been a pretty one. He could have been potentially Loki, where Loki came in there. They really didn't use him the way Loki wanted to be used. It was an awful experience, and then he left. And then maybe he wouldn't have this beautiful commentary position he has now. And he seems to love and leaves him probably more days at home with his family. So it's one of those things that you never know. You just can only empathize with what somebody might have been going through when it happened. But to try and hold on to that and unhealthy, to try and hold on to that and say, "Oh, I wish I got there." It's like, no, you don't. You do because you think you would have gone there, and you would have won the Royal Rumble, and you would have main evented WrestleMania, and you would have been the world champion. You think that's what would have happened, but there's no promise of that. There's no promise you would have got down to developmental and Bill DeMott would have injured you and you were gone, and they would have let you go because you had no knees left. You don't know.
Yeah, I think that is a fantastic perspective, a fantastic point toward that. 100% agree with you. I think it all just lined up the way that it was supposed to, and like you said, he could have been just a forgettable name of the past, like unfortunate.
At that time, it's very possible he could have been like Scotty Goldman.
Yeah, or Braden Walker. Chris Harris. You know what I mean? Just
at that time, it's very possible. You never know.
Yeah, even Kazarian.
It was just so heartbreaking to see that that's what he was going through. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. When Kazarian,
especially now that he's enjoying it so much, it's fantastic.
Right, right. Exactly. I agree with that. So, all right, a few more name drops and a few more questions, and I'll get you going, man. I, of course, as always, I enjoy chatting with you. Let's see.
Definitely.
Wild Boy's asking. Let's ask this one, GHP. You had to know you were going to get this question. Whether it was house show or TV, what was the worst pop you and Muhammad Hassan received?
The worst pop?
Yeah, the worst pop you ever received.
If you try to say the most heat, I don't know what the worst is. I mean, the quietest reaction, the worst pop, or the most heat?
Let's go with that one. Let's go with both. The best heat and the worst heat.
I don't know. The worst pop to me sounds like no crowd reaction, and I've been fortunate in my career. I've never really had that happen. But I would say strongest reaction I ever heard was at the Madison Square Garden show when Hulk Hogan returned, and me and Muhammad were beating up Shawn Michaels, and Hogan came out on Raw for the first time in a while. And that pop for Hogan was the most intense thing I've ever. There was, at the end of the segment, there was like gray stuff on my hair, and it was dust from the rafters because the people were making so much noise.
Wow.
The rafters were vibrating.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. If you go back and watch it on YouTube or something, like it's ridiculous for how small of an arena that was, how nuts the people were going.
Mm-hmm.
Garden's always electric, anyways. And then probably the most heat I ever had was one time me and Great Khali. Well, I was just out there. It was Great Khali wrestled Rey Mysterio on a SmackDown in San Diego, and this is when I think it was like right after Rey won the belts too, like as first time in San Diego as world champion, and Khali squashed him in a non-title match in like 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was just an extent of like boos that it wasn't necessarily the most, he just didn't end. And then that was the only time I was leaving an arena where people were like rocking our car and throwing like batteries and lighters at us and stuff, and like destroying Rey Mysterio in San Diego was the most sacrilegious thing you could do.
Yeah, that's how you get heat. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Name association, Joe says JBL.
John's a guy that never really had he was just like an older guy, so it was never kind of in my circle. Like he was around at SmackDown and stuff, but like, most of the 19, 20-year-old guys, we like to just go out after the shows and party. Like we weren't hanging around too much. We had a couple like international tours where you just kind of like sit around in catering or after the show and just like drink, and like it'd just be it's like a night out at camp where you just pick on everybody or whatever. It's just like, the big kids pick on the younger kids type stuff. But anything serious, I wasn't a part of. And usually all of that BS was just like waiting till they started getting drunk, and then the older guys want to go to sleep and the young kids would go out to nightclubs and party.
Wild Boy's asking, how fulfilling is it to train the next crop of wrestling talents?
Dude, I didn't even think about this. Like when I got into working more behind the scenes in wrestling, I just thought it was just a logical transition that somebody should make when they're getting ready to, or in the process of winding down their in-ring career. A complete side effect of it that I didn't even think of is how much I would enjoy it when I would have certain talents that would start to click. And I have a handful of kids from the Academy of Minneapolis. I still talk to them. I think about, I'll see a wrestling match and I'll see a move and I'll be like, oh, that's perfect for so-and-so. And I'll shoot them a text and be like, hey, watch this clip on YouTube. You should try this next time you wrestle. That stuff is so fulfilling, way more fulfilling. I think it's a little bit of that same kick I was talking about watching Arya wrestle. It's way more fulfilling to see somebody else succeed with my guidance than it is to use my own guidance to make myself succeed, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's the modern day Karate Kid. Same deal,
Yeah, I guess sort of. Like if I got to go out on, NXT and do a dark match, like it would be, whatever. It's a job. It's just something I would do. But like when one of my kids from the academy, his name is JDX, Justin Xavier, when he got to go down to NXT and do a dark match, I was just like, oh my God, I was so happy. I'm so excited. Like, look at it, it's like just here. It was so, for me, it would just be like another day of going to work and having a match. But for somebody else, it was like I was way more than just work. I was so emotionally invested in that situation for someone else,
That's awesome. Yeah. Brandon's asking, who do you think will win the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, it would be awesome with Mustafa Ali, right? I kind of feel like that would be the one. That was I honestly, someone I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. That would be the one that would be, if a guy like Finn Balor wins it, if a guy like Almas wins it or something, I feel like that would be very good, but it would be very, like, I could totally understand why those guys would win it. But there would be a guy like Mustafa Ali that would win it, and at first, I think fans would be like, what, this guy, are you serious? But then as the story unfolds, as we go to WrestleMania, I think he would be the most engaging story.
And it'll wrap around. It's a very bold prediction, by the way, but it'll wrap around to how he got how he debuted on SmackDown Live, especially if Daniel Bryan retains the WWE Championship. He's kind of moved into Joe now, feuding with Joe, but he still kind of has some loose ends when it comes to Daniel Bryan. So it'll make sense if that happens.
I'm just the way it's in a beautiful situation. I would love to see Mustafa Ali win the Royal Rumble and go wrestle Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, and the finish of that match doesn't even matter at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, by the time Mustafa Ali gets to WrestleMania, he's a made star, win, lose, or draw.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Bryan has a new opponent, so that's, when you're super over like Daniel Bryan is or like AJ is, it's hard to find those guys' opponents.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people always have a hard time understanding is you're a victim of your own success. When you're super popular, it's hard. In either way, super popular as a heel or super popular as a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
When you're popular, it's hard to find your opponents. Those champions that are kind of like lukewarm are the best ones because you can match them with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But when you got a champion who's like super popular in either direction, heel or babyface, they're really hard to book with. And then you end up just getting a lot of rematches.
Yeah.
When you do have something that works.
Good point. Simply Deep is asking, have you ever had an embarrassing moment in the ring?
Oh my God, countless. 50% of my career has been embarrassing. I get it. I can answer that. I think one of my favorite ones, though, this is like so much was embarrassing, but it's funny, was I used to wear those pants like Sabu, where it was like just like a genie-looking pants or whatever. And
that was when you were Bashir,
Kane
right?
on SmackDown. What's that?
Is that when you wore them when you were Bashir, right?
Yeah, I did it as Bashir, and I did it in WWE and stuff. And I was wrestling Kane on SmackDown, and I was like climbing out of the ring, and he was supposed to grab me. And as he grabbed me by the seat of the pants, and he pulled it, like it has a waistband on it, but the string on the waistband like snapped when he like pulled it. And he pulled it, and he just like pulled my pants down, my ass was hanging out on SmackDown, so I'm trying to get out of the ring. I was like, oh crap. I was like, what? So we just finished our deal or whatever. I'm like, it's SmackDown, don't tape it. It'll fix it by Thursday or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm at home on Thursday, and I'm watching SmackDown. And like, they just play the spot as is, but he pulled my pants down, they just put one of those like censored black bars over my ass, like this cartoon one. Like, didn't even pick a different camera angle or cut around it or anything. They just put like I was on Cops running away from the police naked. Just had a black bar over my ass. It's funny, but it's kind of a little embarrassing.
Oh goodness! Wow. All right, so Lax question.
It would have been great. I would have loved if I met some girl between like the taping on Tuesday and the air on Thursday. If I met some hot chick on Wednesday, so I'm like, yeah, baby, check me out. I'll be on SmackDown on tomorrow night. Watch me.
You can check my butt.
First night, ass out. hairy little butt ass hanging out.
Oh no.
Cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, you could really get to know my dark side real quick. Just watch SmackDown.
Yeah, right. Dark side of the moon.
Right. All right. So last question of the night. How did you feel about your short time working in the cruiserweight division? I remember your match against Gregory Helms on SmackDown. Just wanted to get your thoughts on the experience.
Well, it was really cool. At that time, pretty much the whole time I was there, at various points, they kept saying, like, oh, we're going to do a cruiserweight division. Oh, we're going to like actually do a cruiserweight division. We have this belt. Might as well do something with it. And that was just one of those times where they said that they were going to run with it. And they just didn't. Like, I think Hurricane ended up being the champion for almost like a year and a half with like 2 title defenses because he was just, they could use him so much better in a non-cruiserweight role if there wasn't a division for him to compete in. Like, he was having great matches with Matt Hardy, and he was having great matches with like Benoit and stuff.
Yep.
He was even having matches with Taker and Kane, but it was kind of like, well, as the cruiserweight champion, he's wrestling everybody cruiserweight. So that SmackDown that I wrestled him was supposed to, if I remember correctly, it was supposed to be the beginning of him turning babyface, and I was going to be a heel, and I beat him in like a non-title match or something, and then it was supposed to get me a title match later, and then just at some point they just like, nope, we're not doing the cruiserweight stuff. We need Hurricane to, like, he's just going to be wrestling other guys. So he was just a cruiserweight champion who didn't have a division to wrestle in.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. All right, so I have one more name association and then a controversial question. So do you want the name association first or the controversial question first?
Let's do the name first.
Okay, so the name is TNA, or Impact Wrestling as a whole.
I said what the phone cut out. What did you say?
Impact Wrestling as a whole, TNA.
Oh, you know what? I actually just got the chance to go to the Impact tapings out in Vegas a couple months ago. It's a whole different company, so I really don't know what was going on in TNA when the Dixie Carter got out of it and all that stuff ended. But to me, that kind of, you could put a bookend in that and say, hey, that might have been the end of TNA. Because even though what's happening now with Anthem and Scott D'Amore is still called Impact Wrestling and Don Callis and everyone, what they have going on over there, it's still called Impact Wrestling. They still own all the assets of what TNA Wrestling was. Like, it really feels like a whole different thing. Like, when I went back there, it did not feel like the Impact Wrestling that I wrestled on for like 2.5 years that was owned by Dixie Carter and run by Jeff Jarrett. It just felt like a whole new company. It felt very similar to when I started working for Lucha Underground. It just felt like a whole new thing. Some familiar faces, like when I went to Lucha Underground, I knew Krista Joseph and Johnny Nitro and Del Rio from WWE and stuff, but like it was just a whole new, it was the same faces but a whole different product. That's what Impact Wrestling feels like to me now. Is a common name, but it's a whole new. If you watch it from when I believe Jeff Jarrett left the picture and Scott D'Amore and Don Callis took over, from that point on, it's definitely a whole new product. And in my opinion, it's a better product.
Very interesting. I just wish that they had better exposure, because the whole Pursuit deal, 10 o'clock on a Friday, they're, going, and it just seems like their exposure is getting worse and worse. It went from, sports time.
You know what? I agree with you about the Pursuit channel possibly, or even the move to Pop TV or anything. I agree that could be seen as a demo. I mean, I shouldn't say it could be seen. It is a demotion coming from Spike TV. Yeah. But I will say that I don't feel the future of any media, be it sports entertainment or pro wrestling sports entertainment, is really going to matter anymore, the destination and time slot. I feel like the future of all media is going to be consumed on demand when wanted. And I feel like whatever the Pursuit Network or whatever they do on TV isn't nearly as good of a deal as them being allowed to have first-run content on Twitch. That's going to allow TNA to be in more homes than any network would ever provide them to, and that's what they need right now, is they need exposure. More than they need the guaranteed money from the network, is they need people to know who they are. So maybe being able to be first-run on Twitch could be even better than any network deal they could potentially land. Who knows? But
let's hope.
I would think so.
Let's hope, because it just seems like they're just getting tough. It's tougher and tougher to just really give them exposed. Like I agree with you 100%. The Twitch deal is a good call, 100%. It's just that the money, the big money deals is typically in the television when it comes to the television. So let's hope.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to keep looking for another television deal as well. Which is probably the nicest part about this Pursuit deal, is because Anthem owns the network, I'm 100% sure, but I would feel very confident. Since Anthem owns the network, they don't have any sort of non-compete with Impact Wrestling. So I'm sure while they have a home on Pursuit, they're still more than welcome to talk to other networks and say, hey, do you want to give us a ton of money to air Impact Wrestling? And if they come to some sort of agreement, I'm sure Pursuit would be more than happy to sign off on them switching networks to bring in income for Anthem.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. Yep. Hopefully it does work with that. All right. So my here's my controversial question. Well, a short question in between. Here we go. Do you desire to work with AEW at all? That's not the controversial question, but that's my question in between.
Oh yeah, I'm a pro wrestler, man. I get in where I fit in. It doesn't matter what 3 letters. Prided myself on is even all the way back to before I even had a name for myself, when I was doing independence, and promoters were like, hell, if you work for me, you can't work for this guy, and if you work for that guy, you can't work for this guy. And I've always kicked off against that. I said, I'm a wrestler. If you would like me at your event, if you feel like I can bring something to the table for your company and I am, available to work for you, I'm happy to be there. Mm-hmm. And that goes from any independent promotion all the way up to AEW, all the way up to WWE, to even Hollywood, whatever. Like, I'm a performer. I just get paid to show up to perform. That's the extent of my commitment to a specific thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so here's the controversial question. Hope this doesn't break up any of our friendship or anything. I'm a business guy. I'm a journalist, and I like the riveting stuff. So here it is. Does Shawn Daivari believe that Chris Benoit should be in the WWE Hall of Fame?
If you can create a construct of what it means to be in the Hall of Fame, I can answer that question. If it means that you're talented enough or skilled enough to be in the Hall of Fame, that's one thing. If it's you are the WWE and you have to tell sponsors and advertisers you're putting this guy in the Hall of Fame, that's another thing. Mm-hmm. You have to give me a stricter confines of what it means to put Chris Benoit in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, I think just typically the criteria of WWE putting wrestlers, it's a overall landscape of their career, but as you know, especially with the China deal, the political aspect of it is very prominent as well. So I guess that automatically.
China's a whole different story. Though. China is completely different. The end of China's life versus the end of Chris Benoit's life, in comparison to their pro wrestling career, are night and day.
Sure, and absolutely, but it's still a political thing.
I'll answer the question this way: Should WWE do it? Absolutely not, because I don't think the negative that would come with it, I don't think would actually the negative that comes with it would exceed the positive.
I agree.
Now, if we can rewind time and say that prior to Chris Benoit's death, if he retired from the sport of professional wrestling in the year 2005, and he just disappeared like CM Punk from the pro wrestling business and never was seen again, that person is, I think anyone would say there's no question about it.
Yep.
But you don't get to pick and choose the cards we're dealt, Yep. This is the hand you're dealt. You can either fold or you have to play it. And I think in this situation, it's a story where you would have to fold.
I think that's the perfect answer. I agree with that 100%.
But it's hard. It's really hard to say, like, you can't. Yeah, you'd have to. Was his body of work in the professional wrestling business enough to warrant him a spot in the Hall of Fame? No question about it.
Right.
But because of the circumstances of everything, is it something that should happen? I don't see anyone on the planet that would benefit from it more so than maybe some people would be hurt by it.
Yep, I agree 100%. I personally think that China should be in the Hall of Fame, though, even given the circumstances. I think it's a political move for both of them, but it's much more on a very serious, severe PR disaster if Chris Benoit ever steps foot in the Hall of Fame. China, on the other hand, I don't agree at all with what she did before, just her personal life. But at the same time, I personally think that China should be in the Hall of Fame because there are other people in the Hall of Fame who have very bad resumes in their personal life as well. So
I'll tell you what, man. Like at the end of the day, you have to look at the whole thing again. Is WWE creates television content. At the end of the day, being in the Hall of Fame, to me, it lives in the same realm as being like, why wasn't Mr. Perfect world champion? Why wasn't Razor Ramon world champion? There's no good answer for it. Yeah. Even Vince McMahon doesn't have a good answer for it. If you asked him when those guys were under his roster, do you think Kurt Hennig and do you think Scott Hall are world champion materials, and would you like to see them as world champions someday? Vince McMahon would probably be at the front of the line saying, yes, that's a good idea. We should do that. But just sometimes things don't happen. And I think we have to look at the Hall of Fame the same way too. For Scott Hall to never be the WWF champion, and Mr. Perfect never be WWF champion, I don't think there's any person on the planet that could say if it happened they would have failed. I think everybody on the planet knows that, hey, if either one of those guys were champions, they would have been a success story. There's no question about that.
Yes.
And I think people have to start looking at the Hall of Fame as the same way too. Just because somebody is in it or isn't in it, it shouldn't make a difference what legitimizes their body of work. Like you could type someone's name into the network, and that could do you just as much to acknowledge their career as it could have been 5-10 years ago being put in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's gonna, over time, it'll become one of those things where people realize, hey, we have to do it every year. It is a television show. We do make it into a produced and rehearsed scripted product that writers work on. If you are in it or if you are not in it, I don't think that should dictate your compass, or it should dictate your compass of how you feel about your career, what you believe others think of your career, just as much as potentially winning a championship belt.
Sure.
If you're the type of person that feels like your career was validated by having one or holding one or whatever, maybe you're the type of person that might need to be in the Hall of Fame to be validated. But if you're the type of person that says, hey, I was lucky enough to be the guy the promoter decided to make world champion, if you're that guy, maybe it's not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm. Good answers. Certainly good answers. I know China's family and representatives have been lobbying for her to get in there via Twitter quite a bit. And so,
that's the worst thing they can do. Just let it be.
Well, I think that they feel that there needs to be some type of bow on her career. And I think that's a lot of times when people feel like they do get in the Hall of Fame, they feel like it's kind of like a bow on their career. Like I interviewed Jeff Jarrett a few months back, and we talked about him being in the Hall of Fame. He felt like that too, just a bow in their career. I interviewed Rikishi after his Hall of Fame induction. Same deal. And it seems like I interviewed Bill Goldberg too last year, a little bit after his Hall of Fame induction, and it seems like my consensus of the Hall of Famers I've interviewed here on the show, it seems like that they just feel as if that it doesn't necessarily matter if they make it in the Hall of Fame, but it's a really good type of bow on their career that they were able to make that spot. Now, like you said, I agree with you. Not being a Hall of Fame or not being a Hall of Fame doesn't necessarily make or break how amazing your career was. Like, for instance, a good friend of mine is Bobby Fulton, legendary tag team wrestler Bobby Fulton. Will he make the Hall of Fame? Probably not. I personally think he should. But at the same time, does that take away him being a tag team legend? Same thing with superstar Bill Dundee. I've had him on my show 2 times. Legendary tag team wrestler. He has the credentials. He has the resume to make the Hall of Fame. But if he doesn't, what will that say? Okay, well, he's not as good of a wrestler if he didn't make the Hall of Fame. So I agree with you. Really, really good points there. So
absolutely. And again, this is just my perspective. This is my point of view as a wrestler who probably won't be in the Hall of Fame and probably isn't going to be made world champion. So it's very possible that if either one of those things by some hook or by crook land in my lap, I'll have a different perspective about it, like Jeff or like Rikishi. But generally, I was speaking on other people. It's not a good idea, generally speaking, to let someone or something else dictate your value. Yeah. Your value in yourself should come from yourself, and influences from the environment around you. You shouldn't let dictate your self-worth.
Yep. Good stuff, Shawn. Great conversation. I want you to plug the heck out of yourself when it comes to talking about dictating yourself. I want you to plug the heck out of yourself, upcoming events, and everything in between.
Man, you always put me in the hot seat with this thing. I don't know what I'm doing out here. People want to get a hold of me, they can contact me at bookdavari@gmail.com.
I'm gonna put this on the chat.
I shut down all my social media stuff too because I don't necessarily if you're a legitimate promoter and you want to promote book me, you know a wrestler who knows me. Like I've been everywhere, I've wrestled everyone, I've done anything. If you're it's one of those things where people ask how do I get a hold of you? I'm like, just try. If you just try, you'll succeed. Just call the only other wrestler you know and say, hey, do you have Shawn's number? I bet you they have it. It's not that I don't need to be on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff for people to get a hold of me. Coming up, I'm going back to Japan in February for DDT Pro. I'm really excited. I haven't been to Japan since 2011, so I'm really excited to go back. And then, yeah, no, now is just a really, really exciting time to be a wrestling fan for me, actually. Like, there's so much, like, I have a really good barometer about trends, about things happening. I feel like a trend is, I've been in the wrestling business now 20 years. I've never felt this kind of forward momentum. I think, like, I started in 99, and in 2001, at the same time, WCW and ECW shut down. And since 2002 and 3, I feel like everything's kind of been the same-ish, maybe little blips of stuff here and there, but, like, Ring of Honor got the HDNet TV deal, like Lucha Underground pops up, little things, like little blips. But this is the first time in a long time the entire industry, I feel, is like on an upswing. I've never felt this kind of momentum before, and I'd like to actually, next time I talk to a guy who was around from the early 90s to the late 90s, I want to ask them, what does that momentum building into the 2000s felt like? Because I wonder if they feel it like I'm feeling it now. I'm just feeling around the globe a growth of wrestling or interest in wrestling, which is always going to filter out the less interesting stuff or force them to adapt. And the best stuff, as we're seeing in the last few years, is coming to the top. Like, you see, it no longer matters where you are or who your promoter is. If you're the best anywhere, you're coming to the top. That's Ring of Honor, that's WWE, that's New Japan. That's clearly with all elite wrestling. Like, now is a good time to be a wrestling fan because all the not so good stuff are either going to get phased out or they're going to have to learn to get good quick, and the good stuff is just going to be in your face all the time.
Yeah. Man, amen to that. Just to be fair, there's one more question of someone who just hopped on, just a 10-second answer because I know you got to go. Daniel's asking, how do you feel personally that WWE went to Saudi Arabia, yet Hassan was considered too much heat to push? Also, your thoughts on them using your Iranian descent for heat in Saudi Arabia.
I didn't mind any of it. It's the same thing I've done my whole career pretty much. It doesn't matter if I'm in Japan or Saudi Arabia or even here in the United States. Like, I'm the foreign bad guy and the local babyface beats me up. It's my routine. Like, I do it everywhere. It's 90% of the reason I get booked. So it doesn't bother me at all.
Puts money in your pocket, man. It's all for show anyway.
Dude,
so.
it's funny too because I've done that act everywhere. I've done that act all over the globe, but apparently, just for some reason, that one rubbed people. Apparently, if Hacksaw Jim Duggan is beating me up, it's okay, but if somebody else is not, it's a big deal.
That's a good point. Man, Shawn, thanks. I think out of the 6 or 7 times you've been on, this is probably my favorite, man. This was awesome.
I'm gonna have to get one of those smokers jackets like the Saturday Night Live guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, you know what, man, I think
the Five Timers Club.
Yeah, JTG said the same. He was talking about the same thing, and I said, I was interviewing, because I've had Ken Doan on about 3 or 4 times too, so he's moving up there, and
that's good company, man. I got Ken Dykstra, Ken Anderson, Jason. This is good company. I'm glad to be in this game.
Marty Elias, he's up there too. He's been on there. He's been on here like 6 or 7 times. So.
Oh crap! Never mind. Marty's in it. I'm out. I don't want to be Marty too.
I'm out. I'm out of there.
Marty's in the Allegheny. No thanks.
That's funny. I don't know. Well, it's so funny because I think that's a good point. I think I need some type of jacket, some type of Five Timers Club jacket. I don't know. If you're going to be at Mania, maybe I'll give you like a plaque or something. I'll be there.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, sounds good. Shawn, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, dude. Take care.
All right, bye-bye. Man, oh man, wow. Good stuff. Shawn Daivari, that was fantastic, man. So big shout out to Shawn Daivari for being on the show tonight. And that was absolutely fantastic. All right, so and he just texted me, thanks, pal. You're welcome. Publicly say you're welcome, man. Make it very, very public. Kudos to Shawn Daivari, man. Always one of my favorite people to bring on the show. And I'm going to text him back, actually. And I'm going to text him back, thank you, because I really appreciate him coming on the show. All right, so let's dig right into it. Let me bring in my boy, Evan Tech Proud. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. What an honor and privilege it is to be back.
Yeah,
In
man.
the land of living on a mothership.
Yes,
So
sir.
apologize for the Facebook noise. The chat to my buddies that was listening in.
Yeah.
Great interview by Daivari, who I would say is a Hall of Fame candidate for the Pancakes and Powerslams show.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Only been on there about 10 times when he's a regular.
He is a
I know
regular.
we all got our regulars. I have mine on your show. You have yours.
Yeah, man.
No, your regulars on yours, so it's all good, man.
P&P Hall of Fame. I like
good
that.
to be here.
Yeah, I like that, man.
I'm a little confused, you know. Us as black people should be happy. It only took us a few years. We finally got a black man as a champion.
Yeah.
Good old my good old brother Lashley, which you know, Featherstone. I told y'all we was with days ago WrestleMania weekend, and matter of fact, it was WrestleMania weekend. Ran into him and what's the other dude? Kenny King.
Mm-hmm.
It was Lashley, Kenny King, and one of the UFC guys.
Mm-hmm.
Rampage Jackson, or one of them dudes.
Maybe Big
Lashley
Mo.
does.
Or King Mo. King Mo. He's not.
Big Mo.
King
No, it
Mo.
wasn't Big Mo. It wasn't Big Mo.
King
But
Mo.
Anyway, I ran into Lashley, King Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ran into Lashley, ran into Kenny King, cool guys. You know, we talked off air, and we did it. We did an interview. Of course, like you know how it is. I could never post it because it was about to go to WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And we jokingly said, "All right, Bobby, once you say with your loudest voice, welcome, good evening." He got all pumped up, and as he was about to talk, he said, "Good evening." Just like that. So Lashley does not talk loud. That is him. He's soft-spoken. Even his regular voice is how he is. And I'm happy for Lashley being the IC champ, black. I think was the last black IC champ we had. Benjamin? Was it Benjamin? Was he the last one?
Oh, wow. That's a good point. The last black.
I think it was my man Ahmed. Anybody got any comments on Ahmed? I'm still friends with him.
That was like
I can text him. Y'all got any Ahmed Johnson questions? It won't be Pancakes and Powerslam appropriate.
Right.
So I'll text him. You know how Ahmed is, how Tony is.
Oh,
But
man.
I think was it Ahmed,
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Ahmed Godfather.
Oh, man. What you did, when you stepped into the zone.
Was it Ahmed Godfather?
My zone. You see,
That was his zone.
my zone.
Ahmed, both
It's kind of
guys
like
nice,
an end
still
zone.
won it.
Once you're in there, you score. Because I'm coming to get you. One of the worst promos ever, man. I mean, it just
So,
it was hilarious.
Now, D-Works is Warzone, the video game.
Oh, yeah,
go
the
Warzone.
Warzone ones. Yeah, those were terrible, yeah.
Click on them. You thought the WCW Thunder Game rants was crazy?
Yes. The Warzone promos were hilarious. Absolutely.
Oh, man, whatever. I think we had, I think it's Ahmed, Godfather, Schultz, and Benjamin. Was Ric Flair called him Schultzton because of the list. And then I think Lashley, if I'm right.
Wow. I never really thought about that as far as
Thought about that last night.
Black Intercontinental Champions. There's only been 4?
Somebody mentioned Colt.
Yeah, Kofi was
somebody
champ.
said Kofi.
Yeah, Kofi was champ. And the Booker, man. You
There's
can't
Ahmed
forget about Booker T,
Godfather,
dog. He was Intercontinental champ.
Benjamin. Oh, yeah.
Booker T was
One
champ.
hand.
Yeah. Well, Booker, we counted 6, right?
He was IC champ, wasn't he?
Yeah, Booker was. Yep. Just him. He was feuding with Christian.
Yeah,
for
Tony.
for the IC championship.
Benjamin, Booker, Kofi. Yeah, 6. D-Lo was not. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
D-Lo.
He was. He was
Eurocontinental.
He was Eurocontinental
Big
champion.
E.
Oh, yep. Big E was
Big
too.
E.
Yep.
MVP.
Nope. MVP was U.S. champ.
No. MVP was U.S. No, was IC.
Let me see. I'm actually gonna look at.
Yeah, hey, I mean, I'm just happy for last year. He's a good dude. I thought. Well, I know we're going ahead and Raw, but I'm just happy about that.
Yeah. Oh no, it's all right.
If you
I
will.
wasn't planning on saying so much about Raw, anyways.
Did GSP say Patrick Mahomes?
All right, so we got a bunch of Ask Chris questions. Daivari texted me back here. He said,
"Good guy."
He said, "Very laid back." He said, "Very laid back vibe, more conversational with me and you than some other hosts." So, thank you for putting my show over, man. Thank you for putting me over. Very much appreciate that. All right, let's see. List of Intercontinental Champions. And the flyer says thumbs up or thumbs down. So I wanted to give a shout out to JYD for a second. Of course, it's thumbs up or thumbs down, but we're going to do thumbs up and thumbs down regarding Finn Balor and Brock Lesnar. That's going to be our Raw coverage mostly. All right, so I'm going through the list of Intercontinental Champions here. As a matter of fact, all right, so of course Pat Patterson. Okay, so I'm just going to name all of them actually. Patterson, Patera, Morales, Morocco, Tito, Valentine, Savage, Steamboat, Honky Tonk Man, Warrior, Rude, Perfect, Tornado, Brett, Mountie, Piper, Bulldog, Michaels, Janetti, Reza Ramon, Diesel, Diesel, Jarrett, Dean Douglas, Goldust, Ahmed. So the first Black Intercontinental Champion was in 1996, which was 17 years after the title started.
Yeah.
And then Mero, another Black Intercontinental Champion. I forgot him. Triple H, The Rock, Owen, Austin, Shamrock, Val Venus, Road Dogg, Godfather, Edge, D'Lo, China, Jericho, Angle, Benoit, Rikishi, Guerrero, Billy Gunn, Hardy, Kane, Albert, Lance Storm, Christian, Test, Regal, RVD, Booker T, Dog, Orton, Shelton Benjamin, Carlito, Flair. Flair won the title in 2005, man. That's crazy.
I forgot Flair won.
Yeah. Nitro.
Oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. Umaga. Kofi. Kofi won in 2008. Punk, JBL, Mysterio. It's funny, Jericho hasn't won. It's been almost 10 years since Jericho won his last IC championship. Drew McIntyre, Ziggler, Barrett, Ezekiel Jackson. That's another Black Intercontinental Champion. I just talked to him today, actually. Need to get him on the show. I talk to him pretty often now, actually. Need to get Ezekiel Jackson on the show. Ezekiel Jackson.
Good dude.
Yeah. He is, very good dude. Strong believer, too. Who else? Cody, Show, Miz, Curtis Axel. And Curtis Axel beat Chris Jericho. I think it was at a pay-per-view. I forgot what pay-per-view it was, but he beat Chris Jericho, I think, for the Intercontinental Champion, to retain the Intercontinental Championship. I forgot what show it was, but I'm like, man, they really try to do something with Axel. They realized it was just DOA, really. But he kept it. He kept the belt for like what, 5 months, 4 months? No, like a little over 5 months.
For a while, IC title was like, let's just throw this on you as a test run and see how well you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you had to work. You had to be legit to have that belt.
Case in point, Luke Harper. That's the next one. Big fan of Luke Harper's work. But,
I forgot.
Yeah, he beat Ziggler, and then Ziggler got it right back like 3 weeks later, less than a month later.
Harper's good talent.
Fantastic talent, but when he won the Intercontinental Championship, it was just really weird.
It doesn't fit for the mold.
Yeah,
he needs to either go to NXT or go somewhere else because he's orthodox. He would have worked great in the late '80s in the NWA or the Territories, or
for sure.
You know, where you can get with that rugged look, but you know,
definitely a Bruiser Brody look to him. Ryback, Kevin, Daniel Bryan, Ryback, Kevin Owens, Ambrose, Ryder, Reigns, and Lashley. Reigns, Rollins, and then Lashley. Those are the first. Those are all the Intercontinental champions. All right, so let's address a few of these Ask Chris questions before we get into the headlines. Let's see. And then the flavor of the week. So I don't know if we'll. I want to get real quick on the main events here on just the rest of the content because I want to address as many as I can with these Royal Rumble main events. The plan is getting 15 years worth, so we got to get started on this real quick. All right, a few Ask Chris questions. PG chat, just to make sure. Thanks everybody for being a part of the chat room. Fantastic. Thanks for all the newcomers that is on the chat here. Daniel thinks the Hall of Fame is a glorified cash grab. Wrestlers, a bunch of wrestlers that I know have said the same thing. They would agree with you. I feel WWE started put respect on UK's wrestlers' name when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Good point. Very good point. Speaking of that, I watched TakeOver UK Blackpool. Very, very solid show. You know, I'm like, Finn Balor should stay there because it seemed like that's where he would get most over at. That would really help the UK product. But I was actually surprised that Pete Dunne retained the title. I thought Joe Coffey was going to win, but I love Mustache Mountain. That's one of my favorite teams out right now, and I actually wrote down my top 5 favorite WWE theme songs, and here they are. See if you can see that. 5, Bianca Belair. 4, The Velveteen Dream. 3, Mustache Mountain. 2, Drew McIntyre, and 1, Undisputed Era. That's my top 5 WWE theme songs right now.
You're not going to put Nakamura? The new Nakamura theme up there, man?
Nope.
Come on, man. Nope. Come on.
Nope. Those are my 5.
We all know the greatest theme of all times is the Mr. Wonderful.
Wonderful. They call him Mr. Wonderful. All right, so
I said to throw that in. Troll moment.
Brandon's asking, was I shocked by a lack of pop for Hogan at Raw? Nope, I was not, actually.
Nope.
All right. Let me see any more Ask Chris questions. Who's going to win the AFC title pass for Chiefs? I'm going Chiefs. Go Chiefs.
Can you hear me now? Mr. Apple.
Malty. Good questions, guys. There's a lot of good questions here. Malty's asking, do I think? What I just saw a question from him. I'm sorry. Sorry, I apologize, guys. I have to delete these non-PG chats here.
Yeah. Thank you, GHP. I just left my office. One I did see was AEW. How I think Malty asked, how do you think that's us? How successful?
Oh, okay, yep, there it is. AEW. How successful I think AEW will be. I went on a rant. I went on a Featherstone rant last week. I don't know if we'll have enough time for that segment this week, but we'll make it a frequent segment. Real quick trivia: what was Giant Gonzalez known as in WCW?
I can't answer that.
Yeah, so I went on my Featherstone rant last week, Multi. The best way that I can explain that to you is to check out last week's show, and I timestamp all of my segments, so it'll talk about the AEW. I think it was the 1 hour and 6 minute mark, and I ran it for about 32 minutes. So that's my Featherstone rant would best describe that, actually. Black Star is asking, do I think Eric Bischoff will be creative for AEW? Good question. He doesn't want to travel. It would probably have to do with travel. It's a lot of traveling. So because I think he wants to remain a homebody, I don't think he'll do a lot of. Good job, Daniel. El Gigante. I don't think he'll do a lot of extra travel related stuff. So, Brandon's asking, do I think Finn will be the Demon at Royal Rumble? He better be. 40,000 strong Phoenix stadium events. It's like a mini Mania. You got to go all out, man. You better.
See.
There's another good one.
There's an Ask Kevin.
Yeah, go for it. Ask Kevin. Multi's asking. I'm glad I can hear you properly now. Who do you think will win the Royal Rumble?
Gosh, it's too early to tell. I can tell you a list of people who it won't be: Shane McMahon, anybody that's black, any minorities. Let's see, Triple H, and I'm joking around. I don't know, man. What was that for the storm?
I said I missed I missed this question. Let's see.
I don't know. A lot of times in WWE, the way they used to do it is you could kind of see the light. They would start pushing the talent where you can say, okay, he's going to win. But I mean, Elias would be cool. It's kind of tough this year, man. Who you going to have win? Elias is really up there. Would he give it to Lashley? I honestly don't know. Right now, I don't know. Ask me that the week of the Rumble. Ask me that next week. Then I can have a better idea. But we always play the game for the son of who won't win the Rumble. That's a lot. That's fun. R-Truth.
Yeah.
He won't win.
I love R-Truth, but he won't. Definitely not.
Rollins won't win. Neither will Dean.
Rollins may, unless they have him win the Elimination Chamber, because it seems like they're still doing Rollins, Lesnar at Mania, which I don't want to see it. I don't. But,
Rollins against Lesnar.
Yeah, they still have that. Scheduled, slated. But I don't know. All right,
they can try to.
Go ahead.
Unless The Rock, they was teasing about The Rock coming back. If they can sign The Rock and do Rock versus Brock, because Vince at the end of the day, he needs a moneymaker match, and if The Rock is available,
but it's still Rollins as of now. So unfortunately.
I'm sorry. That does not. That's going to be an ugly match.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So Wobbly's asking if it wasn't for AEW with the Young Bucks helping Finn win the title off of Brock, at the Royal Rumble would be the perfect scenario for them debut. Kind of like a Bullet Club type thing, since they.
Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder won't win.
I don't know. Nah. Now I'm for a heel Balor. If he had not by himself,
Balor?
I'm not for a heel Balor by himself. I am for a heel Balor if he was in a faction. I've said that before. I think Balor should turn heel and reunite with the club on SmackDown. I've said that before. I'll be okay with that, but and then him and the Bucks, they're not a threatening faction. So I don't know if I'm sold on that. All right, Raw and SmackDown grades. Actually, let's do some headline music real quick, man. Let's real quick, like super duper fastly, quickly, because I really want to get into these Royal Rumble main events. So, real quick, let's get into these headlines. Here we go. Okay. Raw and SmackDown grades. So Chris Jericho signed a 3-year deal. He said he's cool with not going back to WWE because he's at a point where he doesn't necessarily have to go to WWE, but he did not take it fully away. So I think we'll see Jericho back in WWE personally. Yeah, I think
this is the thing. Jericho just posted a picture on his IG, calling Triple H a good brother.
Yeah.
Do the good and the bad.
Yep.
Not sure if you saw it. Jericho has a good relationship with WWE. Jericho is one of the few things everybody wished he could. He can do whatever he wants and still come back. Yeah. Jericho's at their place. He's going to try out AEW, see how it goes, and Jericho is still going to be welcomed with open arms. He has a good relationship with Vince. He has a good relationship with Triple H. And that's pretty much all you need. It's a business deal. He'll be fine.
Yeah. I think we'll see him again. So the call-ups for Raw and SmackDown. Let's do the Raw. Actually, go ahead and do the Raw and SmackDown grades as you're doing it now. Raw and SmackDown grades. Wild Boy's asking, when did WWE start to put a major emphasis on wrestlers constantly pointing at the WrestleMania sign? That's a good question. I remember Batista doing it in 05. I remember Batista doing it in 05.
Yeah, but they didn't really start. I would say 04. Because remember WrestleMania 20, that's when they first had the sign up, and everybody started pointing to it. It was WrestleMania with the double X's.
04, that's when Benoit won, wasn't it?
But 04. Yeah, but 04 was when they started kind of alluding. That's when they first started the whole sign thing, because it was like 20 years of Mania.
Got it.
WrestleMania. 20 years.
WrestleMania.
So it was 04 or 05.
All right, cool.
Comes back home again.
I was getting a lot of positive reactions towards last week when Vince McMahon was talking to Kevin Dunn about Kurt Hawkins taking Chris Jericho's spot on the intro.
Take him out. Hit him.
Take him off.
You don't Santana to it. Hit him. Take him off. And Outlaw Ron is dead.
Oh, man.
Anyone.
Even put anyone on there.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Mike McGurk, get her.
Where's Iron Mike? Oh, he's passed away. I'm sorry. The family of Iron Mike Sharp. How about what about Virgil?
I got it.
Put Virgil on it.
Get Virgil.
Put Virgil on
Get
the
him
intro.
G on there. Get that one guy, Hakushi. Get him.
Put Lonely Virgil on the intro.
And the old time Mark, Frenchie Martin had him.
Oh, there you go. Frenchie Martin. Yeah, it's so crazy, man. Iron Mike Sharp. Maybe we were talking about Iron Mike Sharp passing away. I don't think we should have. He was one of the greatest enhancement talents ever.
Yeah.
You really,
SD Jones.
People over, yeah. But I tell you what, you put Lonely Virgil on the Titantron. Put him on there now, Kevin Dunn.
Adam.
Put him. Adam now.
Ricky Richter, she's not in the Hall of Fame at her.
Maltese asking, do you think Vacant is the greatest WWE wrestler of all time? He's held every title ever in the company. Yes, 100%. Why is Vacant not in the Hall of Fame? That is a disgrace.
Vacant.
Absolute
Vacant
disgrace.
versus to be announced.
Yeah, TBA. TBA has been on every single card. The most popular host, the most popular feature of every card is TBA. Next trivia question. Who did Taka Michinoku defeat to win his first WWE Light Heavyweight title? TBA and Vacant are the 1-2 punch of sports entertainment. All right, so thumbs up. Okay, so let's see. We have solid B for both from Wild Boy. I think Daniel said it was a dumpster fire, a raw grade dumpster fire. SmackDown was a tire fire, aside from Almas versus Mysterio.
Pretty said it.
All right.
I give Raw a B. SmackDown, I don't know what in the world was happening at the end. Coast to coast fan Terminator with ice cream cake.
Yeah.
What was going on? SmackDown C.
SmackDown, I'll give it a C plus. Raw was actually solid. Solid show. I enjoyed it for the most part. It didn't surprise me that Balor was going to win. Actually, that's in the thumps up or thumps down as we're going to do. We're going to do a JYD style tonight. Thumps up or thumps down. Should Finn Balor versus Lesnar at WrestleMania? What do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down, or thumps up and thumps down? We'll do a JYD style.
Thumbs down. We got the WrestleMania main event.
All right, so let's zoom through this. We only got about 10 minutes or so. Raw B. I enjoyed Raw overall. There was a bunch of moments that I didn't necessarily care about, but I like it had an Attitude Era feel to it because it actually there was a story that went through, and I love just interweaving stories through, and that's what wrestling should be. It's a comic book come to life. You got to give me a story, and we kind of had that. So from what I've heard, I think Meltzer reported Finn Balor versus Strowman was the plan ever since, I think, Crown Jewel. So it's been like about 6 been about 2 months the plan now. Because Strowman with his elbow surgery, and they want to protect Strowman and not have Lesnar beat him again, which makes sense. They just decided to throw Finn in there, and the thing is, Finn was supposed to be the opponent for Lesnar last Rumble, if y'all remember, but apparently Vince pulled the plug on that one. But a year later, he's in a bigger stage, actually, so it actually worked out for Finn. He's not going to win, but it actually worked out for Finn because it's a bigger stage. So, my thing is, thumbs down for me with that. There's just Finn Balor's damaged goods for the most part. I think he can have like a good IC run, perhaps, or a good feud. He was on the IC feud last year. With the triple threat with him, Rollins, and The Miz, and I actually thought he was going to win that. I was actually surprised that Rollins won, but I was fine with it. I was there live, and it was pretty cool. But I'm not sold on it at all. It just the size is such a mismatch. Balor has, I mean, he's been pushed the past 2 or 3 weeks or so, but I don't think he's a strong enough baby face to really go against Lesnar. And it just seems like they're just flushing it out right now. So I'm okay with them flushing it out, which will get to the point. They did it. They have a lot of feuds like that when it comes to WWE for the Royal Rumble. They just kind of flush, wrestlers out or feuds out. So, all right. So, for the sake of time, let's jump right into the flavor of the week. So the answer for the let me see if we have any pancake thumbs up and thumbs down. Demon Finn versus oh, good job, Mahmood. Brian Christopher. What pay-per-view did Lex Luger debut as unveil as the narcissist? What pay-per-view did he unveil as the narcissist? Daniel said he loves he loved JYD when he was a kid. I did too. Huge JYD fan. How dare you insult by saying we remember anything from last year? That's hilarious. All right. So there you go. ICO Pro. There you go. All right. So flavor of the week. Let's do this.
It is now time for the flavor of the week.
All right. So let's zoom through these main events. 10 minutes. Let's see. I mean, well, interesting question, Daniel. How do you openly mock one of the very criticisms why you didn't push the guy to begin with? Just craps on Balor even more. No, I don't agree with that because I think that you have to. The problem is you can't just thrust him. You can't just poorly book him for so long and then thrust him into a big old Royal Rumble spot against Brock Lesnar and expect anyone to be like, "Oh, this is legit." Like you just can't do that. He's not at the point right now. They're like, "Oh yeah, he's a legit competitor for Lesnar." He could have been. I think if he does the Demon at Chase Field, I think that would work a lot actually. But other than that, you need more time to build him back up. Honestly, good job, Brandon. 1993 Royal Rumble. All right, so here's the deal. We're gonna make this very fast. Yeah. Daniel said he's not disagreeing with that. They're totally doing it as damage control to placate ticked off fans. Yep, good point. All right, so here's the deal. So I was talking about the main events of the Royal Rumble, and I got to make this fast because I want to get until 2003. So the main event for so here's the deal. If the Royal Rumble was the last. If the Royal Rumble was the last match on the on the card, we're going to count the one beforehand. So interesting enough, the Islanders defeating the Young Stallions in the 2 out of 3 falls match was the last match on the Rumble for '88. So that was just kind of odd to me. It was a short match. It was less than 15 minutes long. Thank you, GFP. Support Pancakes and Powerslams show on Patreon. You'll see that right there. You'll see their website there, please. And here's the thing, real quick. I was doing a lot of thinking over the past week, and I was like, okay, you know what? The point of the Patreon is to give people exclusive content, to do these interviews, to migrate the interviews over to the Patreon specifically. But if you're listening right now live, if you're listening to this video cast or broadcast, however you want to call it, archived, if you're listening to this on the the Attitude Era Facebook version or on audio, here's the deal. if you give to this is what I was thinking about, okay? So if you give to the Patreon, if you support the show, I'll keep the interviews rolling free and live, okay? That's what I'll do. But I'll move them over and transition them over to exclusive members if I don't see much support coming from the Patreon, okay? Is that a deal? I'll keep the interviews coming. I'll keep the awesome content coming on a weekly basis if you just, give and support through Patreon. So however you're listening to this, live, taped, archived, audio, however you're listening to this, go to www.patreon.com/pancakes and powerslams. Please give. Please show your support. I get, honestly, I'll give you my numbers right now. I get 6,000 to 10,000 listeners a week. So for all the people who listen every week, so that's 40, that's 20 around 25 to 40,000 listeners a month. So, which is huge for absolutely huge in the podcast world. So, big numbers. Thank you very much for that. So, for everybody who listened to the show, all those 40,000 people who listen to the show every month, go to the Patreon. Thank you for your support. Here's the deal. I will continue to have the weekly interviews. Okay. If you do that. So we'll make that a deal. I'm seeing some people in the chat room agreeing with that. We'll do it. All right. Go to Patreon, give. We'll keep the interviews coming.
Do it.
If you don't do it, we'll honor the people who have given to Patreon, and we'll do the exclusive stuff there. And I want to start doing. WWE won't let me do any watch parties anymore, so they ping my stuff, both audio and video. But just follow my Twitter.
Yeah.
Follow Chris Prolific about that. But I want to start getting to the point where, and this is again through Patreon. All right, so if you give on Patreon, this is what we'll do. I want to start getting to the point where we'll, of course, keep it PG, but I want to start doing like live hangouts with like multiple people on the on the video cast with me, just asking questions and things like that, and just having some fun with it. So give to the Patreon. I got a bunch of fun ideas, especially for WrestleMania. I want to have some live Q&As at my room for WrestleMania, and of course some expenses for that too. So I'd appreciate all your help. So, all right. So let's move over to 89 real quick, because we have like 2 minutes. So
89.
Might not be able to cover all of them. Someone just gave to Patreon. Thank you so much. I just got that. I just got the alert, and I'll plug with all the listeners you heard. I'll plug your if you give the Patreon, I'll also plug your Twitter handle too. Help you with some pub there. All right. So next Royal Rumble was Haku and Harley Race. That was really interesting. Both were heels.
Yeah.
Haku had a mean super kick there.
Yeah, he did.
Have ever done a live show live at a venue? Yeah, I go to this year, but the third year that I've been at WrestleMania doing coverage. So I do live Q&As during WrestleMania weekend. I get backstage to a bunch of shows. I'll be at MLW show, and I'll be at the ROH show this year. Duggan defeating Boss Man. That was really interesting. The DQ, super over. 91. Let's see. 91. We got what? Oh yeah, DiBiase and Virgil, when Virgil turned babyface. Dude, that was super. He was super over at that moment.
That was big.
Yeah, the crowd reaction was huge, man. I was like, whoa, Virgil actually can say something about himself at this moment, man, because the eruption was big, and so I was pretty impressed about that. I didn't realize how over he was in that segment. So that was really
I didn't
cool.
either.
Yeah, that was super cool.
In 92, the Natural Disasters defeated Legion of Doom by countout.
Yeah, by count out. Yeah,
that was a quick match.
Hug. Yeah.
Yeah, like 8 minutes or something.
93. Let's at least try to get to 2000. So Brett and Razor. Oh yeah, that match was good. By submission for the Intercontinental Championship. Brett beat Razor. 94, 95 just weren't very good years in WWE.
There he is.
Yokozuna defeated The Undertaker in the casket match. Y'all remember that, when he got jumped.
Double the.
Yeah. And then Marty. I think Marty Jannetty was the person who played the doppelganger, the silhouette of the Undertaker, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was.
1, 2, 3K and Bob Holly defeated Bam Bam Bigelow and Tatanka for the vacant. There you go, vacant WWE Tag Team Championships. Interesting team there. 96, we had Taker defeating Bret Hart by disqualification. Bret Hart retained it by disqualification. Almost a half an hour match. It was a pretty thorough match. Pretty solid match, too. But,
yeah.
But Bret.
Didn't that set up the whole WrestleMania?
What's that?
Didn't that set up WrestleMania with Diesel?
Yeah. With Diesel, yep. That was the year with Diesel. Michaels beating the Sid for the WWE Championship at 97 was dope. That's when he had Jose Lothario playing the super babyface role there, especially winning the past 2 Royal Rumbles and moving over to the babyface role there. And then the DX. Michaels defeating the Undertaker in a casket match. Undertaker just wasn't very good at casket matches.
So there's also the night Michaels injured his back.
Yep, that was the bump he took with the back. As Vince McMahon would say, back body drop.
The back is rather drop.
2000
what a maneuver.
was The Rock defeating Mankind, the I Quit match. Oh yeah, that was awesome. That man, kudos to Foley, man. He took some mean chair shots, man. He took some mean bumps at that point.
90 seconds.
So Triple H and Cactus Jack for the street fight for the WWE Championship in 2000. That was like one of many of
the best matches.
Foley and Triple H matches. That was a pretty good match. Super
good match, yeah.
Super good.
Even
match.
The Rock did the cameo.
Angle defeating Triple H to retain the championship 2001. That was a good match too. That was a very good match actually. I think
60 seconds.
I think we get through them. All right, 2002 was Jericho defeating The Rock to retain the Undisputed Championship. I'm marked out at that because he actually beat Austin the next month at No Way Out. I was actually pretty surprised that he actually beat that. And then 2003.
That was a good match.
It was a good match. It was a good match. Jericho's pretty over at that time. 2003, Angle defeating Benoit by submission. That was a fantastic match, actually. Really
great.
Good match.
Great
one of the
match.
best Royal Rumble matches ever, actually.
Great match.
Very good match. All right, so there you go. We got through them. And then hopefully next week we'll have some more time to go through the next 2004 to 2018. All right, sounds good. Fantastic show as always, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week, 3:55 in the books. Enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless, and always remember, I do it for you. Have a blessed night. Have a good week. Bye.